Hey, what's up everybody? How y'all doing? It's your boy Rock Sauce. Welcome back to another video. Today we are playing classic World of Warcraft. It is now live, and this video we're going to show off this 29 Twink Spellcaster guide. So I have already leveled a Warlock to level 29. Battlegrounds aren't available until phase 3, so it's not out yet, but you can start making your Twinks now. You can go do world PvP. You can start gearing up. It takes some time. I'm here to show you which gear to get, maybe which enchants, and this could help decide which spellcaster you really want to make. The gear kind of slightly changes for different classes, so not all spellcasters will be the same. For example, warlocks will go more stamina, mages might go more intellect, priests might go more spirit. It all kind of changes, but I'll pretty much go over most of the gear, and then if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments, and let's get to it. So, for a warlock, I really like warlock at in classic because any of the special talents, specializations you can go, either demonology or affliction or destruction, they're all pretty good. I am going destruction this time because back when I was playing classic, when classic was out before, 15 years ago, I went affliction, and that is what most people would say is the best way to go, because you can get instant cast dots, stack shadow damage, and it's pretty easy. It's pretty fun because it's very strong. But I've done it. This time around, I'm going destruction, and that kind of will change the gear also, depending on which spec you are too. So we can go over that. So for me, I am destruction warlock, so I'll be stacking stamina. No really need for intellect because we do have life tap here. And if you're making a twink, just get a friend or two, make them play with you. Maybe they can make a healer. So at all times, you don't really ever need intellect. And just straight damage and stamina, so you have a lot of health. Because there's going to be a lot of other twinks, we're going to do a lot of damage, especially because you are a clothy, you don't have too much armor. That's why it's quick to stack some stam and do some heavy damage as fast as you can. So for me, like I said, spell damage and stamina, and spell power, more specifically fire. So I'm going to be doing a lot of fire damage and not so much any shadow damage. So I'll show you my build here. I do not have the enchants yet, not all of them in that case. I made my twink first before I made my main because I was very excited to make this character. So don't mind the enchants, but I will mention which enchants to look out for and which to choose. So let's start at the top. You can do, for professions, engineering, where you can get a 21 spell damage helm, spell power, extreme goggles. But, like I said, I don't have a main, and I'm not really using any other, in my build, I'm not going to be using multiple different damage spells, you know what I'm saying? I'm only using fire. So I'm losing one spell power here. The spell power goggles do look amazing, so if you do really, care about the looks also, which I do in a bit, and I'll explain that later, but maybe I'll get around to it eventually. It's only one spell damage, and if you want to switch, between a couple talent specializations, it would be easier overall. But in the case you don't want to get engineering, you can go in the auction house. There's usually, for cheap, level 29 Elder's Hat of whatever kind of wrath. Frozen wrath, fiery wrath. So if you're a mage or a priest, let's say a mage, right? You use frost and fire, maybe you would like those Or if you want, if you're a frost mage only, or if you're an arcane mage, or you can choose which one you want. So if you don't want the engineering goggles, just find the level 29 Elder's hat of that damage. Make sure it's plus 20, because there are some that are plus 19. But then again, it's only one lower, so just it's up to you. So next is the River Pride Choker. 9 stamina. It is the most stamina on a neck piece. There is, let's say, for other spellcasters, there is one, the Crystal Starfire Medallion, which is 4 stam, 4 int, and 3 spirit. You can look out for that. But if you wanted the maximum stamina, this is the one to look out for. So there are only a few pieces of gear in Classic in this bracket, which is 20 to 29, that offer spell power or increases damage done by magical spells. And I pretty much have all of them besides one, which I have the quest for anyway. But I'll get to that last one later. So I would say definitely pick up the other two, which is one, the Magician's Mantle. So let's say if you're a mage or a priest, or I don't know if I'm missing any other classes or not, but definitely I went here. Plus you have the 9 intellect, which helps also. The other one I'll get to is the boots, which is also 5 more increased magical spell damage, which is nice. Plus it has the spirit and the intellect. So I would definitely recommend getting those if your main goal is to be doing damage. Those would also be nice for healers as well. It's a little bit lacking stam, but on these two pieces, because I'm going stamina and spell power, those are the ones I'm going for. Next is the back, which you can find in the auction house. Geomancer's Cloak. You can get it fire damage, arcane, frost. It's really nice. There is a 7 stam back or an 8 stam back you can find in auction houses, which are pretty nice, but I'm kind of balancing it out. Fire damage and stamina. So it's really back and forth. Also, if I want to go a more stamina build completely, stamina and intellect, I do have this in my bag just in case. So it's either you go 5 intellect, 5 stamina, which is good for all spellcasters, or your School of Magic, in my case fire. So that's the one I would go for. Next is the Zealot's Robe. 12 stamina. It is the highest stamina chest there is for Clothies. It's a quest. Plus there's intellect and spirit, which is very nice. You can get the many other chests in the auction house that are similar and nice, you know, like Begilia Robes, maybe 8 stamina, 12 intellect. So if you're a mage or a priest, and it has nice spirit on there too, you can look for that. But this one is free. You just do the quest. The other ones might be expensive now. The other pieces I got from the auction house, I got them as soon as the game started, you know, when everything was selling for like 15 silver. Now the prices have probably gone up because more people have level 60s by now. But some of these pieces might be pretty cheap, you know, so look out for it. But if you are stacking stamina, like a Warlock, or you really want your priest to just have tons of stamina because usually they're targeted, go for this. Even if you are a, let's say, elemental shaman or balanced druid, some of these pieces of gear, like Zealot's Robe, is nice because you have a lot of stamina. You kind of lose out on some armor, but then you get the intellect also. It's very nice. Next, Gallon Cuffs. This is for any spellcaster there is. 7 intellect, 3 stam. It's very nice. The spirit I got was a free enchant. You can get, I think, 9 stam or 9 intellect as an enchant. So depending on which class you are, you would choose how much you want to balance it. Either is good. You want stamina or intellect on there. To go back to the chest, you can get stats to chest. So that includes everything. You know, I believe it's 3 stats to chest, which is 3 intellect, 3 stamina, 3 spirit, everything. You can do that. Or if you want health, you can get plus like 100 health, which I'll probably end up getting that. And you probably want armor to your back because you're clothy and there's not too much other enchants you can get there. You can get 100 health to stam with 100 health to head, sorry, with Librum of Focus. You're going to need a higher level to help you out with that. If you have any more questions about that, just leave them in the comments. We can go into more detail. Next, I have the Skeletal Longsword. So this is one of my favorite pieces of gear that I have altogether. So there are similar weapons you can get, like the Butcher Slicer, which is the same amount of stamina, higher damage per second, but you're not really going to be using your sword to hit people. So the reason why I like it so much is it is only farmed in a contested area in Duskwood, which is an alliance area with a 1.5 drop chance. So you can actually get like a there is another sword you can get. Let me see. I don't have it on me, but that has 5 stamina, and there's a dagger you can get also 5 stamina also. But the sword is made from blacksmithing. It's very basic. The dagger's not as cool looking. This is actually skeletal longsword, and it took a buddy of mine to go hunt skeletal raiders in an alliance territory. You know, just doing some world PvP, grinding these things for days. Finally, it dropped, and it's awesome. It's a skeletal longsword compared to, I think the blacksmithing sword is a iron short sword, I believe it's called. Longsword's a little bit cooler than a short sword, you know. And here you can get, for me, I'm using the Firestone because it has a very fancy effect on the sword also. But speaking of the sword, you can get 30 spell damage. That's what you're going to want as a spellcaster. All spellcasters will want 30 spell damage to their weapon. It's a bit pricey, but it's needed at this point. So for my offhand, I'm using this Firestone, which is only available to Warlocks, and gives me 10 plus fire spell damage, up to 10. Also, so there is a quest actually. So if you want a pure spell damage offhand, you can get this quest here, where it is increases damage and healing done by magical spells by 11, which is one more, but it is a very hard quest. And it's only one difference. You know, I might get around to it, but here it is for you right there. Another offhand, though, for you, which you can get with stamina and intellect on it, is the Witch's Finger, which is right here. This would be more for priest or mage because they can't get the Firestone, which is only available to Warlocks. Also, I have the Dancing Flame Wand, which is it's also from a quest, and it has the most damage per second, and it's the fastest wand there is. It's a very long quest from 1,000 Needles. And what's very nice about this is it is a fire damage wand, right? And I'm stacking fire damage as a destruction warlock because I have Immolate, which does burst and damage over time, and then Searing Pain, which is a quick hitting fire spell. Also Rain of Fire, which I spec'd into longer distance. I can do my destruction spells, and also any fire spell has a chance to slow. So I can have multiple enemies slowed by Rain of Fire, and then also spread immolates all around. So massive AoE damage for this Firelock. But what I brought that up for is fire damage will increase the damage done by your wand, because my wand does fire damage. So if you're stacking fire damage, it will increase your fire damage wand. So as you can see, this says 32 to 60. But with all my plus 98 fire damage, now I'm doing 102 damage per second on my wand instead of the 32. So 3 times as much. My wand is going to be doing crazy damage, which is a very good thing to note in Classic, because wands are very strong, especially if you stack the damage for your same school of wand. So try and do that. Another wand you can get if you are a shadow damage lock or a shadow priest, or just a priest in general, you can use this because it has 5 shadow resistance plus 1 spirit, which any stat you can get, you might as well take advantage of it. So if you're not using fire spells, if you're not a fire mage, and you're doing shadow damage, go for this. Or if you are a mage, for example. Next, these aren't best in slot, as you can see. They're only level 28. There would be level 29 with 14 fire damage to your gloves. There's also, if you want to stack stamina and intellect, if you are a mage or a priest or anything else, on the auction house you could find night sky gloves. So I do have, the build for intellect and stamina extra if you wanted to just go straight stamina completely and intellect, which a mage might want to do. These are the things you would look out for. Next, I have the belt. Straight fire damage also. So as you can see, I have plus 98 fire damage. I'm going to be doing a lot of damage. Plus the 30 spell power when I get that. It's going to be insane. But if you want to have intellect and more stamina, there's the Warsong Sash, what you can get from Ashenvale, which is very nice. There is also, when the battlegrounds do come out, once you win a certain amount, you could buy the PvP reward belt from Arathi Basin, and same with the boots, which also they both will have spell power on them. So you get those, but until those come out, plus you have to get marks or badges to turn those in for them. So until then, you should either get your School of Magic or your Warsong Sash here. Next is pants. There's a few different ways you can go. As you can see, I went straight fire damage, plus my balance of stamina on the other pieces. But you could also get of the Eagle, which would be 9/9, which you kind of look out for. Pants. So if you want to go damage or health and intellect, those are the ones you'd want to go for. As I mentioned earlier, the boots, and if you wanted more stam on that instead of spell power, I would recommend the Spider Silk boots. I made them myself. 4 stam, 4 intellect, 7 spirit. It's very nice for a mage or a priest. So check those out. Next, Plains Ring. This is a must for any of these spellcasters at all. Very high stamina and intellect. And also Seal Sylvanas, who is the goat, Go Sylvanas. 8 stamina also. Now, for the trinkets, you can get those when the battlegrounds come out, and there's also the STV Stranglethorn Veil Arena trinket, the Arena Grandmaster, which I haven't started going for yet. I'll get to it eventually. It's still Phase 1, and if battlegrounds are Phase 3, I have a lot of time to do that. So, that's pretty much all the gear here. I can go over my talents for you. So it's either Shadow Bolt, Improved Shadow Bolt, or Cataclysm. And since I'm not doing Shadow, because I'm going all fire, I went for this one. Plus, I'm not stacking too much intellect, so reducing the mana cost is actually very helpful for me. Next is 10% chance to slow the targets for 5 seconds. That's pretty good. If you can get a slow on a target before they get to you, as a Destruction Warlock, you're not going to be moving around too much because all your spells are pretty much where you're standing still. If you were in Affliction, you can kind of run around, so you wouldn't really need that. But for Destruction, that's why it's there. Also, Bane, which is reducing the casting time of your Immolate spell. And Immolate is going to be, as you can see, my first spell that I use on my bar here. And with all the fire damage, it's very strong. Plus, when I get all the rest of my enchants and the 30 spell power, it's going to be even stronger. So I went for that. improved your firebolt. I know you see it here, but I'm not really using it. You're going to be using your Void Walker because you can sacrifice them. That's going to be your main pet, so I'm not using that. Same with the Succubus. You're not going to be using it because the Void Walker is too good. Now, for me, the way Critical Strike works in Classic is the more intellect you have, the more critical strike chance you have. And since I'm not stacking intellect, I'm not going for critical strikes. So I didn't do that. Shadow Burn, Shadow Damage, not going for that. Destructive Reach, 20% distance extra. Of course, I did this. And this was a tough one. So either a 70% chance to resist interruption while doing Rain of Fire, which I like, because when there's battlegrounds, you're either going to be doing War Song with 10 people or Arathi Basin, which is only in 20 and above, not in the 10 to 19 bracket. But there's 15 people in there on each side. So there's going to be a lot of targets. And if I can get, 10 dazes going off, who knows? That's a lot of CC right there. Instead of a more critical strike chance, which, like I said, I don't really need. What's really good about Classic is you could spread out into different schools. Even though if you're main destruction, I had one left overall, so I put it in, increases the amount of my health stone. It's pretty good. It was either that or, using my improved imp. Not really. The real choice here was either increase stamina by 3, which could be good, or the health stone by 10. If I'm stacking stamina, this might be good, but it reduces my spirit by 1%. So I just went for this. If you have questions about if you wanted Affliction Warlock, I could tell you which way to spec there. And most people will go Affliction, and then pretty much that's all in this bracket, people would all go Affliction. But Demonology is actually really good with your Master Summoner here, because you get that sacrifice off, and then you can bring back another Void Walker quickly, and then you have another sacrifice. You just never die. So it's actually really strong. And then you could even put your last few points in reduce casting time of your Corruption. So you're like an Affliction, but with a stronger pet. You know what I mean? Because Affliction, all you really need is this one, so you could put 2 dots on for free. So Demonology would actually be a really strong choice, especially with the stamina here and the improved Void Walker, which increases your sacrifice in itself. Demonology is good, especially if other people are making the Twinks and they're going to be doing a lot of damage. I'm saying Demonology is just as strong as any of them. That's why I really like Warlocks. All 3 talent trees are amazing. So, yeah, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, like I said, please leave it in the comments. Please like, please subscribe. Once again, this is your boy Rock Sauce, and we're playing Classic World of Warcraft, and this was the 29 Twink Spellcaster Guide. Thanks so much. Stay tuned for more. I'll give another update when I'm fully enchanted, or maybe I'll come out with a proper preview where I'm doing some world PvP. I already have done that a bit, but that was before the enchants, so I'm still already killing people. But you don't really get to see the full power. So I'm going to wait to show off that. Maybe I'll show you just good gear PvP compared to fully enchanted PvP, because enchants are insane. So I'm already strong at this point. But once you get the enchants, it's a big change. So, farewell. Thanks again. If you have any questions, let me know. Stay tuned until next time. Peace out.